Dear Nissan, about the R36 GTR. The R35 Nissan GTR has been here for over a decade now, and we haven't seen an R36 yet. There's been discussions that it was going to be appearing in 2020, but we're already in 2019, and we still haven't seen a concept. Other than the Gran Turismo Vision Concept 2020, which may not even be an accurate model of the R36 GTR. I'm not complaining about this platform. It is a great platform. I believe it revolutionized the industry when it came out, but now the industry has caught up and has gone beyond. We've already seen probably one or two generations appear after this one. So it's time for an update, and I can see why there's a dilemma. Because like I mentioned earlier, this is a great platform. So it's going to be very, very hard to one up on this. I was going to throw more technical information into this video, but I felt like it was going to clash with the subject of the video. So I'm going to make a second one just for that. So for this video, it's going to be more general. First, I want to start off with the name because that is what defines the GTR. Grand Tour Racer. It's not a sports car. It's not an exotic car. It's not a convertible. The acronym's GTR was synonymous with Skyline, but that's no more because the Skyline is its own model and the GTR also became its own model. This is a great platform. Now you just got to improve upon it. Now, what to do? Well, people complain about the brakes. At this point, at least just give it slotted steel rotors. Don't drill the rotors because people have issues with them, but do offer a carbon ceramic option. And maybe you're thinking, well, you know, the aftermarket's gonna do it. But you know what, Nissan? You need to offer it too as an OEM. The next thing people complain about is the weight. I understand that Mizuno apparently wanted it to be heavy, and I think there's something else behind that. It's cheaper to get traction compared to having to do research and development on all this trick aero parts like canards or active aero. It's a love-hate relationship because you can't really reduce weight unless you take out the all-wheel drive system, because the all-wheel drive system is heavy also. And at the same time, you can use exotic materials, but then the price goes up. So there's this balance that you have to maintain, and I believe Nissan did a pretty good job with this car. No one really complains about the wheels, but the tires. So you're gonna tell me you're gonna build a supercar and give it some crappy ass tires that it can't even perform with like a Camaro? You need to provide, like I mentioned earlier, an option for better tires. You can give people a standard tire, but at the same time, give them an option for a better tire. Whether it wears out in 5,000 miles or not, at least that tire option is there. The transmission, yes, it makes noises, it chatters, it's rough, it doesn't shift as smoothly as a PDK, but you know what? I am hopeful that you can fix this on the next generation GTR. You know, this is being the GR6, you need to make at least a GR8 or a GR10, 8 being 8-speed or 10 being 10-speed. The interior, yes, it's much improved for 2017. I really don't care about the interior. You know, I think it's fine with my 2013, but I know there's other people who have access to much nicer cars and they're expecting the interior to be like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Well, I really don't care much for it, but maybe those of you who do, you guys can let Nissan know in the comment section below. Now, what I do care about is the back seats. Yes, I know, it's too small for an adult. Yes, I totally understand that. There was a reason why I did not get a Corvette Z06, ZR1, or a Porsche 911 Turbo. Obviously, the Corvette had no back seats. The 911 Turbo taunted a back seat, but when I went to look at it, I was like, that is not a back seat. And then once I saw the GTR, I was like, okay, that's not too bad, but that is a back seat. Coming from owning several Nissan 240SXs throughout the years and being in a FRS or BRZ, that's okay. I can live with that. It may not fit adults, but if I have that option of having those two back seats for kids that I want to take on road trips, or you know, those fun occasional trips that you want to take your friends on and they can fit back there, then hey, I'm all for it. So what about active aero? Active aero is great if you can do it, but you know what? Active aero gets expensive because it takes a lot of research and development. And if it isn't done right, then it makes things complicated. So for the suspension, I think Nissan needs to go to a magnetic shock system. In 2015, they softened the suspension to cater more to the GT aspect, which they should have called the GTS, because the R is supposed to be race oriented. Looks are personal preference, but if you go in the direction of that GTR 50, I don't even know what to say anymore. Now there's been discussions of the next generation going hybrid. Well, I'm not really a fan of hybrid systems. I think it overcomplicates things and it also adds weight. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure in the future it'll be fine because the technology is going to improve throughout time and hopefully it'll shrink in size and weight. So it shouldn't be a problem, but at this point the technology is not there yet. Unless there's some secret technology that Nissan has in Area 51 that I'm not aware of. A hybrid system is probably going to require going to a mid-engine setup because I can only see the advantage with, especially with weight, being something similar to the NSX. I see a hybrid system in the aftermarket being a hindrance because once you increase the horsepower of the engine, what do you do with the electric motor? It's gonna have some balancing issues and you might need to get rid of that hybrid system. As far as electrically assisted turbos, I really don't care for them too because once you upgrade the turbos, you're probably getting rid of that electrically assisted turbo anyways, unless it has a very high capacity for horsepower, like let's say 1,000 horsepower, then I guess it should be fine. But to me, it's just extra hardware that you don't need because, you know, just look at the McLaren 720S. It is performing just like or even better than the McLaren P1. And it's gasoline powered. So hopefully Nissan can make a V6 or even go V8 if you need to. Power-wise, it was good for its time. Obviously right now, everyone is going 600 plus. I think even close to 800 horsepower now. If a GTR is going to come out in the near future, probably by 2022 or 2025, and probably span a decade again, just like this generation, it's got to have at least 700 to 800 horsepower. As far as performance goes, 0 to 60 needs to be around the 2-second range, quarter-mile times, high 9s to low 10s with around a 140 trap speed and a Nürburgring lap time of sub 7 minutes. And I think that should be good enough for the present time. It may change in a few years. As far as choosing a target like the 911 Turbo, I think the target should be the McLaren 720S because that is the current benchmark from my point of view. Now, how much would all this cost? The GTR initially came out around, I believe, $80,000, which was very good for its time. And it's gone up astronomically. I mean, you can get a base or entry-level GTR for around $100,000 right now, which is ridiculous to me. The problem with selling a Nissan above $100,000, and even the Acura NSX has this problem, is prestige and status. You really don't have it with a Nissan or an Acura. You know, these other brands, McLaren, Lamborghini, Ferrari, they were designed from the start to be an exotic supercar. So it's very hard for someone with a lot of money to justify, oh, I'm gonna pay $150,000 for this Nissan. Well, I think if you can price it around the $125,000 to $150,000 range and expect low volume sales, then you should be okay. Now, why that figure? Well, I would think that if the McLaren 720S is around $300,000 and you can sell that kind of performance for half the price, that would attract a lot of customers into the GTR's territory because of the performance per dollar and hopefully the potential for future upgrades. Other than that, I would highly recommend, if possible, to sell it at 100,000 or below so that you can sell it in larger quantities. And I think that's the gist of it for me. You know, I don't expect much, but let me know what you think in the comment section below, and who knows, maybe Nissan could be reading, so let them know also. Other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one.